Hi, everybody. How are you? Oh my goodness. It has been so long since we've done this live. I hope you are watching. Share this with your friend. I want you to ask questions live. It's all about housing, renting, buying. It's all about real estate tonight. And how do we afford it? Is it a buyer's market? How can we get good rents? What borough's hot right now? The latest statistics fresh from realtor.com. We have the deputy news editor here with us tonight. I don't know how we got you, but we got you here live. And we want to make sure that if you're watching and you have a question, if you're renting, you want to buy, you have questions about real estate and any sort of housing, it's always our number one focus at Pix 11, especially when we're making it happen. Claire, thank you so very much for joining us. Clare Trapasso. Again, the deputy news editor, really appreciate it. We have so much to get to. And I'm going to be watching and monitoring all of your questions right now. So make sure you chime in right now and also say hi to Claire. Claire, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Monica.
All right, let's get right to it. Is this a good time to rent in New York City?
Yes, it is absolutely a great time to rent in New York City, but you need to do it fast. Prices really came down during the pandemic, but we have started to see them creep back up. So definitely if you're planning on renting, definitely get into the market soon.
Oh my God. Hi, everybody. Carolyn, Mark, everyone's loving this topic. Make sure to send me your questions. I'm looking at the feed right now. Break it down for us. This is the fresh statistics that we have just from July. Is that right? Just last month?
Yep.
Show us how it breaks down borough to borough. There's some surprises here.
Sure. I mean, the biggest deals you're going to find are in Manhattan. That being said, you're going to pay the most to live in Manhattan, but it's down from $4,000 a month in July of 2019, before the pandemic started, to about $3,200 a month in 2021.
That's still so much. It's
It
still
is
expensive to live here. That's
a
for sure.
lot of money. Yeah. You can still get a deal in Brooklyn too. I mean, you can save about $300 a month, down from $2,800 a month to $2,500 a month.
Yeah, Leanne's saying prices went up. Well, you're saying they went down in a few boroughs, but look at that. Queens stayed the same.
Queens stayed the same.
Bronx actually got more expensive.
A little bit more expensive. A little bit more expensive.
And Staten Island, there you go, a little bit. It went down just a tad, but it's
a
still.
Little bit.
But you're saying again, this is a good time to rent, a good time to come back to New York City.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great time if you're looking for a deal. Plus, you have more negotiating power now than you would have before because, although, look, lease signings are way up, but you still have, it's still more of a renter's market than it has been in years. So you have more negotiating power.
So expensive. People are shocked. Are you guys shocked at these price tags? I'm shocked. I know. A lot of people are shocked by these numbers. I know. It's like you have to have how many jobs do you have to live here? But anyway, tips to help renters right now to bring those prices down. Let's start. Let's go. Tip 1.
Okay, well, you're going to be renting during a pandemic, so you're probably going to be spending more time in your home than you may have before. So don't just do a cursory walkthrough. Really spend some time looking through the apartment. Does it have good natural light? Is there a place where you could work remotely? Does it have, a terrace? I mean, that would be the dream, right? Or an outdoor space. So really think about those kind of things when you're looking at an apartment. And on that same kind of note, you also want to think about the noise levels. My first apartment in New York was in Astoria in Queens, and I lived right near a fire station. And, that kept me up some nights.
Hell's Kitchen. It was the noisiest apartment I've ever had. But I love that because you're literally going to be working from home. A lot of people are working from home. So it's very important to check these things out, not to just go for the deal, even though we're still looking for the deal. Tip number 2. Let's get to tip number 2.
Yeah, tip number 2 is really about just thinking about that noise, because if you're going to be next to traffic or there's loud businesses right near you, and you're going to be taking important client calls, you may want to reconsider your location.
And I love Yesenia. She's watching right now. She drive through the neighborhood at night.
Yes.
That's a good suggestion. You'd be surprised how different, right? Oh, and Darren Martin says, what is an average price for a rent stabilized apartment? Ooh, that's a good question, Darren.
It really depends on which part of the city you're in, when it was rent stabilized. It really varies tremendously borough to borough and place by place, honestly.
Yeah. And I just love that, we're getting Deb saying these are such high, ridiculous numbers. It is so true. We hear you. Tip number 3.
And tip number 3, going back to these ridiculous prices, Unfortunately, in a lot of places in the city, you have to earn 40 to 50 times the monthly rent for a landlord to feel like you're going to be able to pay these rents. So that means if you don't earn that, you may need to get a guarantor. And let me break this down for you. If the
Yeah.
median rent in Manhattan is $3,200 a month,
Mm.
you need to be paying somewhere between you have to earn between 128,000 and $168,000 a year to get that apartment. Or this is how I got an apartment in grad school. You need a guarantor, and a guarantor is somebody who makes that kind of money, who's willing to co-sign your lease for you.
Wow. And Dave is saying that's why I moved to Florida. We do see a lot of people moving out of the city because of this case. I hear you, Dave. Yeah,
Mhm.
moving to other states, Liz. We feel your pain. Tip number 4.
Tip number 4, I would say, New York City real estate obviously still isn't cheap, even with these discounts. So save those stimulus checks. I mean, you're looking at paying first month's rent. You're going to have to pay a security deposit. Some places want you to pay last month's rent, and then you have to pay a broker's fee in many cases.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's still expensive. Yep.
Claire, how much money do you need if you are planning on, let's say someone's watching and they want to move to New York City again, or they're coming back? How much money do you need to start off?
I mean, there's no one answer for that. I mean, it really depends on everybody's personal budget, where they want to live, if they have roommates, if they want a rooftop terrace, or if they're okay with a 6th floor walk up. So it really varies. But I would say really, think about your budget. Can you afford a broker's fee, first month's rent, security deposit, moving costs, trips to IKEA to get everything, set up the way you want it to be. So budget accordingly.
Yeah, and I love that Jen Rivera is saying before the pandemic, renting was close to impossible. The pandemic is not making it any easier. She's so right, Jen? It's still very difficult. And Yesenia has a tip for everyone: don't move next to a liquor store, even a firehouse. But that's a very good tip. Now, tip number 5.
Tip number 5 is, despite everything that we've talked about, I mean, this is the time you can negotiate. Yes, lease signings are way up, but you still have some negotiating power. And that's so important, because you could say, hey, can I get a free month if I'm renting? Or you could say, that stove looks like it's from the 1980s. So could you replace it? Or, that vanity in the bathroom that's missing a leg, let's put something else in there. So you really do have some negotiating power. Even if you have a broker that works for the landlord, maybe you could negotiate the fee a little bit. So please, if you take nothing away from this, take this important tip, which is negotiate, negotiate, negotiate.
I love that. And
Mhm.
Yvette Morales, no relation, even though I do feel like she's my sister. How do you get space for your money? How do you do
Mm.
that?
Um, I would say move to the Bronx. You
Yeah.
may want to consider Staten Island. You want to live in sort of, upper Manhattan, sometimes has some bigger apartments for cheaper prices. The more desirable a neighborhood is, the apartments, not always, but often tend to be a little bit smaller, unfortunately.
And Crystal's watching and she's saying more than 10K. It sounds like we're saying you need to have anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 just to move into New York City.
It's a lot of money. It just depends on the person's budget, their tolerance for roommates. It's just so many variables in it, but it's expensive. It really, really is.
And Andrea has an incredible tip. Thank you, Amanda, for flagging that. Check the businesses around you. Never move next to a daycare or preschool. That's another good tip, but that's hard to do. There's so many in New York City, so that's very difficult to do. But we always love our small landlords. We want to make sure we don't leave them out. Any tips for small landlords who are really upset again about the moratorium being extended and they're not going to see those checks for a while? What can you tell them?
I would say be patient. I would say just be patient. The moratoriums are not going to last forever. And right now, COVID cases are still pretty high. So, this was put in place to protect the most vulnerable renters. But, just be patient.
And you wrote this incredible article, Claire. I hope everyone goes to realtor.com to see these new statistics fresh from July, which are very interesting. I think I might do actually some Pix 11 television story maybe tomorrow at 5. But you wrote an article about the Delta variant and talking about, is this a buyer's or renter's market?
Well, I would say in almost the entire country, it's a seller's market. I mean, we've seen home prices for sale just skyrocket. I mean, they've gone through the roof, basically. It's a little bit different in Manhattan. I'm one of the people that actually left Manhattan. We were in Upper Manhattan during the pandemic, and we decided to move out to the suburbs, and we're renting, and we've been trying to buy a house kind of ever since, which isn't easy right now. But in Manhattan, a lot of people left because they were paying so much money for small spaces, and so many of the businesses and the things that we love about Manhattan were closed. So people wanted more space. They wanted, to get away, to be someplace they could enjoy more outdoor activities. And that's why we saw prices for rents and, home prices for sales, also kind of go down quite a bit in Manhattan. But as more people have been becoming vaccinated, we're definitely seeing more, businesses have reopened. We're definitely seeing it come back. And Delta is sort of the big unknown. But what I can tell you about Delta is it has brought mortgage interest rates down. We're talking about 2.8% on a 30-year fixed
Finally,
rate.
some good news here in this
Yeah,
show.
there's some good news here.
Say that's great. Okay.
Mhm.
And Crystal is chiming in. Crystal says it's a lot, especially if you're single.
Mm.
That price doesn't include gas and electric. She's so right, because that's just the base, and then you have to pay all these extras.
Yeah, it's quite expensive to live in New York. It really, really is.
Is there any, I always love hope. Is there any other hope you can give? I'm all about hope here. Let's give some good news. Any hope that you can give renters who are listening, who are hoping to bring the costs down, or they're really, it's been a rough year and a half for so many of us.
I would say, again, you have negotiating power in a way that we haven't had before. I mean, you really can ask for, can I get a free month? Can you lower it by like $200? Can you replace this thing that I don't love about this apartment? So I would say really, really, really negotiate right now. Look for neighborhoods that may be a little bit more off the beaten path, maybe a slightly longer commute, especially because a lot of people are working from home or they're going to go back to hybrid schedules. If you don't need to be in the office 5 days a week, maybe you only have to go in 2. Maybe you want to look 20 minutes further out where you can get a nicer place, for less money and more space, and even a yard potentially.
We are on Facebook. We have an international audience. We have a national audience. What do you want to tell someone who maybe is watching from another state, thinking about relocating? I know one of my friends was thinking about working in New York City for the first time in her entire life because she thought it might be exciting and a great place to be, the center of the world. What do you tell them?
Even though I just said that I left for the suburbs, New York was my first love, and it's just the most wonderful place to be. There's such an energy to New York and such a vibrance. It's a wonderful place to be. You feel like you're in the middle of, like you said, everything. I highly recommend it.
Oh my God.
Oh, and we have the best food in the world. No,
of course we do. Of course, everything.
Best food, best pizza.
Yvette has a great question. Again, Yvette, my sister, Miss Morales, where do you recommend in the suburbs to move? Are there any good deal hotspots?
That's really tough right now in the suburbs because so many people left the city and are looking for houses in the suburbs. It's kind of hard I mean, if you're looking in the suburbs, you're going to have to deal with quite a few offers on every house. You're going to be looking at offers that can be 100, 150K over ask, depending on where you're looking. Again, I would say places that are further away from the city, you're going to be able to get the best deals. Places that might not be on a train line would be also places you can get really good deals. Well, not good deals, but better than what you're paying if you're moving.
Are there any specific areas you can mention on our Facebook, or are you?
I don't know about mentioning specific areas. I would just say the further out you go and the further you are from a train line, probably in many cases, the better deals you'll be able to find.
Destiny's really struggling to find a place in her budget, and she's really upset about it. And we hear you, and that's why we're doing the show. Hopefully you got something from the show. And of course, realtor.com has some new statistics and your new article, which is great. And, Crystal, everybody who's watching, Crystal's going to send me her housing related. We're all about housing at Pix 11. For years, we focused on your housing issues. And specifically now, you're saying this is a buyer's market. The rates are low. This is the time to rent. Come back to New York City with the Delta coming back, possibly with this unknown. We don't know where this is going to go. But so far, this has been a very positive show, I have to say. You've given me a lot of positive energy about coming back to New York City. The rents have dipped a little bit. Anything else you can leave our viewers? A message of hope.
Yes, the prices are super high, but they're lower than they've been. And I mean, that's great if you're renting or if you're buying. The only thing I would say is just act fast.
act fast and look now. And thank you so much. We love you, Claire.
Thank you so much.
Realtor.com. We appreciate. I got so much from tonight, and I hope you did too. Watch us every night at 5 o'clock. We're making it happen, and we're always about housing. A lot of good news tonight.